It's Kim and Kelly Ann, and we are back for episode number 9. Episode number 9 of our podcast, Raw and Unscripted. It is just a few days before the holiday season, whatever it is you are celebrating. Even if you're not celebrating, you're still in the energy of things that are going on around you. And this episode today is going to be all about protecting your energy, protecting yourself, and also, I'm going to say, being aware of other people, because that's what I really believe we always need to do, is be there for one another, and how we can protect our energy during this holiday season, because it is a season that is notorious for exhausting us, overwhelming us, and we can go into it with so much energy and excitement sometimes, and you come out of it exhausted. And I don't know about you, Kellyanne, but there's nothing worse than doing all this work and trying to make Christmas such a beautiful time, um, and you actually don't get to enjoy it yourself because of whatever things show up around the season. So we're going to talk about that today. We extended out to our audiences what they're struggling with right now. Both Kellyanne and I coach clients, so we are always having conversations with those around us. And we have our own live experiences that we plan on sharing. We cannot forget ourselves here in this today. So we're really looking forward to having you here. If you are tuning in live, please say hi in the comments, ask questions, engage. We are here to bring you into the conversation, and let's get ourselves rolling. How are you, Kellyanne?
I'm great. I am, as Kim and I were talking just before we went live, we too are walking through this time where we place such high expectations on ourselves, and I think especially as moms we do that. We want everything to be perfect for everybody else. So I was reminded of something yesterday that I just want to share. We are approaching the winter solstice. So we are almost at the shortest day of the year, the day where there is the most darkness in the world.
Mm.
And that darkness, this winter, this cold, it's actually calling us into kind of a quiet protective mode. That's what we tend to kind of want to go towards, is like staying at home, comfortable, all of those things about just cocooning.
Mhm.
That is what the world is going through right now. Christmas comes at a time where we are so into protecting ourselves and, kind of hibernating, and Christmas is coming at a time where we're being called to do the exact opposite of that.
So true. So true.
We are being called to have so much energy, to do all the things, to be with all the people, to go shopping with all the crowds. Like, we're being called, or we are being pushed into that kind of an energy. So it's no wonder that we feel overwhelmed, that we feel exhausted, that we feel drained, because we are fighting actually with what's happening in nature right now, in how we really are how we were meant to live this time of year. So I think that's why so many of us, and I know for me personally, I am an introvert. So all of this, what I call peopling, all of this busyness, all of this anxiety about what do I have to do, that just drains my energy. And I think we'll probably are going to talk about some of the ways that we can protect that energy. But I know for me, what I've noticed just over the last few days is that I've been really caught up in the future, that anxiety of, okay, what do I have to do? Like, I got to make sure I get this done, and I got to get this done, and I have to do this. And I'm not living in the moment,
Yep. Yep.
because in the moment, there is really no anxiety if you can live in the moment. But right now, it's really a struggle to do that. And I know what I have noticed about myself is that I have forgotten, or I have been too busy for some of those self-care practices that ground me.
Mhm.
And I think it is so essential that we take time to do those things that make us feel good. Like for me, it's being by myself, it's my meditation. And when I'm feel like I don't have time for that, that just stresses me out even more.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you everyone who's commenting. Like the comments are flooding in today's episode because clearly there's a lot of people that feel the same way right now. And again, we have to remember everything around the Christmas season in terms of what we're hearing about is all so much of it is commercial based, right? It's all based for getting people to spend money, and
Mhm.
this year's present has to be better than last year's present, and everything that comes with that. But ultimately, I mean, you talked about it. You're recognizing your energy already. So one of the common themes we always talk about is awareness. So we can't judge ourselves. It's okay right now to be feeling drained. And again, I'm going to recognize because we have to say it, we're not coming into this holiday season the same as we had, years ago because of what we've all experienced, right? We haven't recouped from that. So again, we always say, let's just show up the way we can today. What is it that we need to do today for ourselves? Because you can have all of the presents, you can have the home cooked dinner, you can have the house that's decorated to the nines, but if you are empty, if you are kind of you're physically there but your spirit is not, which I have memories of that with Christmas for sure. And I keep saying Christmas because that's how I refer to Christmas. So again, this conversation is around whatever it is that you practice and what you believe in. The message is still the same for all of us, is recognizing what is it that I need going into it, right? I'm going to just, these are some of the things I want to just highlight that we probably will talk about today because they seem to be one of the things that makes this season challenging. That is the expectations on what it's supposed to look like. And that can be based on what you grew up with and the beliefs that you were taught that Christmas is supposed to look like, the holidays are supposed to look like. It is about what is being pushed to us through media. It is what we see around us every day. It's what we think. Again, it's like, I think that this is what I need in order for me to have the best Christmas, in order for my children to have the best Christmas. Again, they're all belief systems. But if we're showing up with an empty tank and an empty heart because of it, it's not supporting us. So it's the expectations, it's the shoulds. In my field of work, there's a lot of fear around food. I mean, what are we constantly being told? The average person gains 10 pounds every single Christmas. So if somebody's already experiencing challenges in their body, fear around food, the diet that they're supposed to be on, we feel so much fear around this season. I've got so many memories around that. I'd like to talk a little bit about that today and how can we dress ourselves. What am I going to wear to that holiday party? I've put on weight this year, and my family already judged me last year for how I looked, and now I look like this year. These are real things. What comes up for you, Kellyanne, around some of the things that are causing our energy to be off right now?
Um, well, I mean, for me, it's probably, I think it's that, my mom was a great entertainer. And
Mhm.
so Christmas was all about entertaining and doing all the great meals and all of that. And that's not me at all. It
Mhm.
is a struggle for me. I had a family gathering Sunday night, and I'm going to have people over Christmas Eve. And that is hard for me. It's really hard. But I grew up with that's kind of what is expected at Christmas. And everybody else seems so excited and happy. And I'm totally stressed about it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, as you say, it's all of those expectations. It's so much of those expectations. As you say, a lot of them are kind of conditioned. We've lived them, but we're also really tough on ourselves.
Mhm.
We watch obviously the media, we watch some of our friends, I mean, I have some friends who just absolutely love Christmas and they go all out. And then you start to feel like, well, it's not My family doesn't get to experience that because I don't do those kind of things. And I think, and somebody commented, Jeannie commented, it's not a Hallmark movie. And you know what? That is so true. We build up this season, right? We build it up so much. And then, you know what? It's maybe not magical. It's
No.
good, but it's not magical. And sometimes it's not even good
Yeah.
because something happens. Somebody's sick. There's some kind of a family argument. There's so many, because it's life and it's never going to be that Hallmark movie. You're going to have times that are probably magical, right? We all have those little moments of magic, I think, over the holiday season. But to expect that it's going to be like that the whole time, I think we just set ourselves up for failure. I think what our expectations and what we create our suffering in those expectations. And I know that's really hard to eliminate those expectations because we do that to ourselves. But being kind to yourself and um, just allowing what happens to happen and trying not to have those expectations. And Kim, I know you want to chat a little bit more about the food, and then we'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about family
Yeah.
interaction. So you
I
go ahead.
think I think that that's a great one. Yeah. And listen, this is the thing. We're not all I'm going to pause for a second. What I want to say is if you know certain things are going to be a part of your holiday season because that is just how your family is. This is how you experience. Not everybody can Christmas is difficult. The more we can kind of expect certain things to happen versus be shocked when they do. Like, I'm sure you'll talk about this later on with family dynamics, but if there tends to be two family members that never get along, well, kind of expect that that's probably going to happen again, right? Because then you're taking off that pressure that you're supposed to try and fix the situation. Again, we always say this, you can't control anyone but yourself. So this is probably an entire episode, and of course I don't want to dominate the conversation, but what I want to do for those of you that are approaching the holidays with fear, with trepidation around what your body looks like, whether you're going to be able to control yourself around the food. These are the things I hear about. What I want us to remember, and I think we need to normalize this, is that the holiday season happens once a year. Some of these foods we're only going to have once a year. We're going to be around these people sometimes only a few times a year. We're not meant to go into the holidays with these fears. I want to normalize that it's a very, very, very good chance that you might gain a little tiny bit of weight over the holiday season. And really, is that the worst thing that could ever happen? Again, okay, it's not. We know what we hear about weight gain and what we hear about bodies changing, and that's why we have the fear and trepidation around it. But the fact is, you probably will overeat a little bit. It happens because you've got all this beautiful food in front of you. Be present with your food, slow down with it, but let's just stop worrying so much about gaining a few pounds. And to be honest with you, and I'll share this with you, Kellyanne, because I don't know if you know this, people that don't have history with dieting tend to gain less weight than the person who's actually approaching Christmas trying to diet. Okay,
Mhm.
it's the dieting that causes us to feel out of control around food. We have restricted, we label foods as bad and good. That creates guilt and shame. That produces emotions that we don't know how to be with. So then we eat to compensate those feelings that we're feeling about ourselves. Let's approach the Christmas season and the holiday season allowing ourselves to enjoy food. I ask you, be present with yourself, slow down with yourself, taste the food and make a conscious decision. What do I want to have? But it's when we moralize food and we shame ourselves for eating the foods that we say that we can't have, that we put those foods on this pedestal and then we feel powerless around them. Remember, you get to choose. Take your power back around food. I want to and that's all I'm going to say. If you want to learn more about this, you got to follow me because this is what I talk about all the time. But I also want to talk briefly about our fear around how our bodies look. And I'm going to talk about that from the angle of us going into the party, but also what other people might say, because this protecting our energy, if we all want our holiday seasons to be more enjoyable, let's just be cognizant of other people's feelings and emotions and their states, and be kind. What I'd like you to think about already, if the Christmas season, the holiday season brings fear around what your body's going to look like, if we want to focus on protecting your own energy, we want to get ourselves ready. So I'm going to suggest to you that you already go into your closet and start to look at your clothing and decide what would I like to wear to, my family function, and start to look at what's there. Try stuff on in advance. Okay? Try it on when you're in a little bit of a more positive state of mind, and you can go into your closet and just start to try things on. The last thing you want to do is, like, 20 minutes before you're supposed to be out the door, run to your closet and then decide what you're going to wear, and nothing fits you and you're feeling horrible about your body. Prepare in advance a little bit about that. Wear clothing that you're going to feel comfortable in. The last thing you want to be doing at your holiday function is tugging on your clothes and feeling uncomfortable about what your body looks like. Okay? You get to choose, right? You get to choose how you want to feel. As for the other people, I'm going to let Kellyanne pop in just a moment, but I just want to say, can we please keep our comments to ourselves about what other people look like? Let's stop celebrating weight loss. Let's stop judging another person for gaining weight through the pandemic. Keep your opinions about what people are eating to yourself. It's not your right to make comments about other people, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to pause on that one, Kellyanne. I could go off for a while on that one.
No, it's so, it's so true. And that kind of brings me to the whole idea of family interactions, because I have one person in my family who has no filter. So they're the ones who say those kinds of things.
Mhm.
They don't intend to hurt other people. I think it's just a lack of awareness.
Mhm.
But I think that, as you said, Kim, when you go into, so many of us are dealing with having to spend time, maybe with, I shouldn't say having to spend time. Sometimes it is having to spend time with family members that we maybe don't see very often, or family members that we don't get along with great. And I know I've had experiences where things just blew up
Mhm.
at Christmas, and that can happen. And Kim, you said, when you go in with the expectation, if you know that Uncle Joe gets drunk every Christmas and says inappropriate things, don't expect that Uncle Joe's going to do things different this year.
Mhm.
If you know that, somebody is going to make a comment about your cooking or something you've made, and it's a negative thing, if they're always very critical, go into it expecting that that's going to happen. Because I had a friend who, and I thought she had an interesting family, and they did a bingo every year
Mhm.
where they wrote out all of the crazy things that could happen at the family gathering. So on their bingo sheet, it was, yeah, Uncle Joe got drunk. So and so, whatever it was, so and so fought with so and so. So and so swore like a trooper in front of grandma. I mean, all of those things, they wrote them all out on a bingo sheet, and then they went to the celebration waiting for all of those things to happen and celebrating when they did, because somebody won, because it was their they checked off their
That's
bingo.
hilarious.
I thought, what a great idea
Yeah.
to eliminate those expectations and just to accept what is.
Mhm.
Because just because it's Christmas and you want everything to be perfect, especially if you're hosting,
Yeah.
you're not going to change those people. And that is truly, like, when we don't kind of surrender to what is, that's where all the suffering is.
Mhm.
So if you say to yourself, okay, yeah, there are going to be so and so and so and so are going to be there, and last year, you know they got drunk and they said something inappropriate to somebody. um So let's just expect that's going to happen again. I mean, people can change, of course, and you hope that they will. But if you go in with the expectation that things are not going to be perfect, I think it just gives you, again, it's that being in the, trying to be present,
Mhm.
being in the moment. And if it happens, you say, okay, that's what I was expecting. So if it's better than that,
It's a plus.
it's a plus.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
not let down, right? You're not let
Yeah.
down if you raise it to be something and then something happens,
Yeah.
especially like I hate to say it, but history does. It tends to repeat itself, right?
Mhm,
Like most people are
mhm.
creatures of habit and you know, it's like, well, how can we make maybe we have a Christmas that has no alcohol. I don't know. How would that go over? How would it go over?
I have some family members who probably wouldn't come.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for typing in so many comments. I love how everybody's talking with one another and sharing. So
Mhm,
many of you, this is the beautiful thing about online is there's friendships that have been built with people that have never met in person, but we're all friends and community. So I love that. So
mhm.
um, how can we shift the conversation a little bit for a little bit of a deeper topic, and that is grief around the holiday season. I think it's an important one because it's Christmas is, whether you've recently lost someone, whether you have that family member that hasn't been with you for a long time, but it is that time because we're together and we have memories that remind us. Like my family is very connected on music. So with my grandma and my grandpa not being here anymore, it's always something you feel that piece that's missing. This is, there's been a lot going on in our world. I don't know if we're just hearing about it more now than before, or we're just more present and aware of it, but there's just a lot of loss happening. There's also sickness, recent sicknesses that have people are experiencing, and the feelings and the fears that go with that. So, I mean, again, and I'm not a grief expert, and nor is Kellyanne. What we're sharing from our own experiences always in this podcast is, and these are just some of the things that are coming to my mind, but is to really be kind and compassionate with yourself during this season, because so often when we think of grief, we think of sometimes, oh, I shouldn't be grieving this. This happened so long ago. Why do I still have this? This is grief is a part of a way of us still celebrating the life and the love and the memories that we had with that person that's no longer with us. So to still feel those feelings and to still miss the people that are no longer here with us in their physical presence, it's normal. And I think it's important to continue to cherish those memories. I know somebody that was sharing that they recently lost their father-in-law, and when they celebrated Christmas this past weekend, they celebrated through the memories and the sharing to keep that person's life alive with them. And I think that that's really, really important, because we need to talk about the things that are in our heart instead of pretending that's not there. I think it just makes Christmas so much easier when we can celebrate that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, I think definitely grief is a something that is going to affect you in whatever situation you're in. And along with grief, I think there are lots of people who are struggling with other things too.
Mhm,
I mean, I remember the year where I was very depressed at Christmas, and
mhm.
I've been struggling with that for a while. And I beat myself up because, of course, I couldn't, kind of bring the energy that I wanted to Christmas because of my depression. Whether it's, you're in the middle of a rough time in your marriage,
Mhm.
or you have a child who's maybe estranged, or whatever it is. There's always, I don't think any family ever has something at Christmas that is missing, like a part of something that is just not complete. Nobody has a perfect Christmas.
No.
We all have things that are happening. Maybe for you, it's financial. Maybe it's like we push ourselves so hard at Christmas that we often then have a lot of regret. I mean, especially maybe around financially, because we want everything to be perfect. And maybe we're not in a position where we can do all the things that we do and we overspend.
Yeah.
And then we're in a position where we regret it and we can't enjoy because we're thinking about, oh my God, that bill is going to come in January and how am I going to pay that?
Mhm.
Um, so the movies make Christmas look really easy and full of joy, and it can be, and parts of it will be, but the reality is that that's not life. We have all the ups and downs continue. All of the challenges that we're facing, they don't stop at Christmas.
Hmm.
We don't get a day where just say, okay, now today is going to be Christmas and I'm going to feel great. I'm not going to worry about all those things. That's not how it happens. So just being gentle with yourself,
Mhm.
um, and knowing that whatever you do, it's enough.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and you made a point about that perfect Christmas, which we know that perfect world never exists, but it's also about what you choose to see, right? If I choose to feel like it's only a great Christmas if A, B, and C happen, well, then I'm limiting on what I'm able to experience. Again, it's always about what lens you choose to look at life
Mhm.
through, right? Um, I'll just say that you can look at a family that would be considered to be living in a very low financial space, and status and privilege, or in privilege in general, but they still come together, right? It's all what we know. It's always what we know. So really being able to kind of look outside, like look outside of the materialistic aspect and recognize, like, my family's always been about that, like, we're here together, we're here. And my mother being in her late 70s, it's like it's notorious, but it comes up, that hopefully I'll be here next Christmas,
Mhm.
right? Like, this is the reality as people are aging, and even still with life, anything can happen. So being, again, it's going back to being as present as we possibly
Mhm.
can. I
And
want Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just going to say, and to celebrate the people that are there.
Mhm,
Even though maybe not all of the people are there that you want to be there,
mhm,
but it's kind of like that old song, love the one you're with. Like, love the people that you're with.
mhm,
And you may be sad about somebody not being there, whether it's an estrangement, whether it's, somebody, Joanne said her husband's in long term care. Like, but you know we understand that people, and of course we talk about those people when we're together, but to celebrate the people that are there, whether it's just a really small group of you,
mhm,
um, again, it's being in that present moment and um, just trying to find the joy in
mhm,
that present moment.
mhm,
Easier
mhm.
said than done, but it's a
Yeah.
goal. It's a goal that we all have.
We're certainly not saying any of this is easy, right? Um,
No, not at all.
but again, it's we want us all, and ourselves included, if you experience something this holiday season, maybe there's a part of today's conversation that you're gonna remember, and you might be able to approach it a little bit more easily. What about, I'd love us to give, I'm thinking about, the feelings that show up for ourselves when we're around people. I know that I have recognized in the last few years of my life that I sometimes need space. I need space to be quiet. I need space to just sort of like my nervous system. I'm very aware of my nervous system now. And so I know for me to slip away and go to another room to sit with myself quietly, I have no problem doing that anymore. As opposed to worrying about what people might think of me if I choose to leave the my family's very big and very loud. And I'm very aware that sometimes I'm like, there's too much noise, right? Like, I just feel it in my body. So being able to say, I'm just going to go upstairs and take a few minutes and be okay with it. And if whether you choose to tell somebody so they're not worrying about you, or whether you just chose to go and do it yourself, it's okay. Or, however many bathroom trips you need to make to be able to go and do, like, it's really amazing how quickly we can calm ourselves down and breathe and be in our bodies.
Mhm.
Um, and shift our nervous system, shift that stressed, anxious feeling by just doing some breathing. Breathing is with all of us. And within a minute of doing some slow, deep breathing, you can just feel yourself just sort of relax a little bit. You'll feel your shoulders come down. You'll feel your jaw soften. Maybe some of your forehead tension will release, right? But give yourself permission to recognize, what is it that I need right now? If you feel like I remember many times, Kellyanne, when I too was struggling with my mental health, being in places and having to look up at the ceiling, looking into lights when I was feeling like the tears were just gonna like come crashing out of me and I didn't want to cry in public. So this would happen in church too, on Christmas Eve with all the music. And I'm like staring up at the fans on the ceiling and staring up at the lights to just to calm myself, right? There are lots of things that we can do. But the point is to give yourself permission to be, and you don't have to share it with people. Okay. But even to just take yourself to a quiet space, go out for a walk, go out, just do something for you. We have to be able to do that more for each other and not make a story about it. If somebody chooses to leave for a little bit, let
Mhm.
them go. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Because when you are better for you, you're better for everybody else. Everybody benefits from
Mhm.
you taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that, especially as moms, we don't think about that. We think that our role is to take care of everybody else. But really, taking care of yourself is the best. What was the quote that I just, it was working on yourself is the best gift you can give others.
Mhm.
And it's so true. The ripple effect in taking care of you, everybody around it feels it. Everybody around you feels it.
Mhm. It's so
So so make sure that you take the time to to care for yourself this holiday season and to protect your energy. Um, because if you do that, then you will walk through this possibly challenging time and hopefully come out at the end of it not feeling like it just took so much out of you. I know sometimes like I would feel at the end of the Christmas season like I just need a week
Yep.
to totally decompress.
Mhm.
I can't do anything.
Mhm.
Um, so we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. And that means also, like, in these days leading up to Christmas, literally, if you could see my floor down here, I have still a whole bunch of presents to still wrap. But like, try not to burn the candle at both
Mhm,
ends leading up to Christmas. And I know that's so easier said than done because we're in the grocery stores late. We had a snowstorm coming here.
mhm,
But like, we have to be able to, if we're feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, depleted already, and we haven't even hosted yet, then I
mhm.
think I might be frozen right now. I'm not sure.
Oh, I
Um,
can still see you.
okay, you're frozen on my screen right now. Okay,
Oh
good.
no.
I was like, oh. I have two teenagers home. Clearly, my internet's being used. Yeah, like if we're exhausted and we're depleted and we haven't even hosted yet, or we haven't even made that trip out of town, um, it's just hard. So again, this is where I say we got to really look at our people pleasing tendencies. We have to look at our ability to ask for help, delegate, ask for help. Who cares if the presents aren't wrapped the way you would normally wrap them? If you have a teenager that can wrap some presents, get those presents wrapped, right? Like,
Mhm,
these are the types of things that we're talking about here that are going to help to protect your energy over this season.
mhm, mhm.
Hmm. Mhm.
So that's maybe a good place to end, Kim,
So,
and to say thank you to, and the comments have been amazing today. Thank you for all of your sharing. We really appreciate that. And we hope that you take care of yourself over this holiday season and that you find lots of joy with the people that you spend time with over over the holidays.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll come into the comments afterwards and respond to you. And again, please stay connected to both Kelly Ann and myself. You can find me. I've got my website, kimbasler.com. I've got some great opportunities that are going to be coming if you want to work a little closer with me in the new year. So stay connected. And Kelly Ann, anything you'd like to share before we close off?
Yeah, I also have I have a special program going to be starting shortly. So please stay connected with me on some of you in Kim's world have, have become friends with me on Facebook, and that's great. And I'm on Instagram. I love that. We also want to say that next week we're going to take the week off.
Yes.
So we will not be here next week, but we will see you the following week.
Thank you, Kelly. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas. If you are not celebrating the holidays, enjoy some time off.
Mhm.
Put your feet up. Watch that movie you haven't watched. Whatever it is your heart desires, go do for you. All right. Bye, everyone. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.